you decided to write Love Awakens You, and what actually sparked this transformative journey?
Oh, well, I'll start with what sparked this transformative journey. Actually, when I was a child, maybe 10 or 12 years old, probably 10, I can remember adults coming to me and asking me questions, very adult questions. What should they do here? What should they do there? And I would answer them, thinking, well, they asked me a question, I'm going to answer it. I didn't know 10-year-olds weren't supposed to answer adult questions at the time. And I did that, and it's kind of helped my mother, I think, tried to push me into constantly asking me questions like that to open me up more to my intuition. So it started at a very young age. Of course, you get into the 20s and 30s, and your credit card debt builds, and okay, maybe you drink too much alcohol and you do all the things you're not supposed to do, but you got to experience them in anyways. Well, it was when I started working. I worked in logistics and corporate software consulting. And at my last job, it was a contract job. I was doing contract jobs at the time, mapping business processes. And I loved doing it because I could write out a flow chart of what existed and then how to change it to map it to their software so that it would flow better, right? Just loved doing that. Well, it got to the end, and I did this really big flow chart. I mean, huge flow chart. And I was sitting at my desk and I was mapping another part of the business. And I had a couple questions. And the guy came to me, and the person I was working for was sitting next to me and said, "You know more about this company than anyone else." Well, she didn't like that. So she said to me later, the IT manager hated your flow chart. And I thought, wow, that didn't make sense to me. It was a good flow chart. I mean, it really did, smooth things out, and they weren't super major changes or anything. But I thought, well, okay, he hated it. Nothing I can do about that. Finally, I decided it was time to go because I'd mapped all the business processes I was supposed to map, and there wasn't anything really left for me to do. So I said it's time for me to go. And so I had an exit interview with the IT manager and the person I was working for. And I got up to close the office door. And when I looked at the back of the office door, he had both of these flow charts on the back of the door. She lied to me.
Oh no.
And I said, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. What am I supposed to do now? And it just sort of flowed into, I always knew as a child I was going to go to a psychic. And I did go to a psychic, and she had this crystal underneath a feather. And when I picked the crystal up, the inside of the crystal turned to liquid. And I went, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. I put the crystal back, pretended like I never did it. And when I left her office, everything was so clear and bright and colorful sounds, and it was just amazing. And about 6 weeks later, I called her for another appointment. And at the end, she said, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And I said, "Well, yes, there's this crystal you have." And she said, "Okay, it's yours." Then she told me this story. She said about a year earlier, the crystal told her that it no longer belonged to her and to bury it. And so she, about a year later, just before my appointment with her, unburied it and brought it into her office. But she didn't know who it belonged to. And because I asked for it, she gave it to me. By the way, it's like 22 years later, and I still have that crystal. I also have a whole lot more crystals. So it started me on a journey of trying a variety of different metaphysical or alternative healing methods. And the one that I, of course, gravitated to was crystals. And I do crystal healings, and I help people through, various transitions in their life.
That's amazing. I literally, on Mondays, I normally have I do two podcasts. The one literally right before you, she used a crystal healer.
Ah, there you go.
So I was just learning about crystals just right now. And then you're talking about crystals. I'm like, oh wow, this is so neat. I love this. And she was sharing with me about crystals and liquid and the benefits and how she uses them and misconceptions of them. And I'm just like, oh wow, this is like supposed, this is appropriate. This is great. Um, and my experience with crystals, yes, I've heard about the whole bearing thing. My ex-husband, this is back in 2005 or something, 2006. Oh, I don't know, 2007. And he introduced me to crystals and I just thought they were just beautiful. I was like, oh, they're so pretty. I thought they were just decoration, but I didn't know the properties that they held and what they can do to you. And so I had this beautiful rose quartz crystal. I had a cluster crystal, and then I think it was just like clear quartz crystal. And it was just so beautiful. And I would actually have to bear them. And I heard I would put them in moonlight at night and do all these different things. And I don't know. I always felt like I had good energy with them. I mean, they were nice.
Well, you know, there are three things that remind us of our true homes, which is not here on Earth, by the way, but they remind us of our true homes. That's birds is one, flowers is the other, much less popular is crystals. The thing with crystals is they carry all four of the elements of Earth. They carry vibration, frequency, color, and sound.
Mm.
And that's what people get attracted to, whatever it may be, the energy of the crystal, the color, the shape. I don't know, it can be a whole variety of different things. I
Yeah.
actually do crystal healings and it's amazing. I've seen some real amazing growth in people. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat.